Right, hello, welcome back to Red Army Reaction, episode 5, is this? Episode 6?
It's match 5 we're talking about.
Right,
It's the
so
sixth
it's
episode.
episode 6. No,
I've
it's
gone
match 4, isn't it?
No, it's match 5.
Yeah, episode
gone
6.
I've gone for a confusing naming scheme with the episodes. So technically, the pre-season one is episode 0 and it's billed as episode 0, even though it's the first episode.
Yeah,
But-
yeah,
So this is the 6th episode,
which is
but-
match day 5.
but it's called episode 5.
Okay.
Match day 5. Chelsea.
Yes, indeed.
A rare win.
Very
for an episode
rare.
of this show.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to come
It
on
is,
here
yeah.
and talk about winning a game of football.
They should do it more often.
Yeah.
Give us more, sunny episodes.
Yeah. It is a lovely sunny day, which it certainly wasn't on Saturday when we went to the game.
Awful day. Awful weather. And what got worse the closer it got to kick-off. Because I left the house. I wasn't going to take a coat. I was just going to wear a jacket. And then I was very, very glad that I did.
Yeah. We still managed to squeeze in a drink at the cricket ground on the little canopy. There's no limit to...
I don't have any canapes.
Very good. There's no limit to the weather conditions that would stop us going for a drink at the cricket ground. It's too much of a tradition now to be.
Yeah. It's certainly not anywhere near the limits for any other drink outside.
Yeah, no.
You
Like a
wouldn't
beer garden, generally, it has
has
to
a
be
much higher
sunny
bar.
and warm, whereas it doesn't have to be anything like either of them. It just has to be before a United game.
Yeah.
The weather was very, very bad while I was in the queue to get in.
Yeah.
Which was really long. We got there to the gate about the same time before kickoff as normal. It was about 15 minutes before kickoff.
Yes.
And got in 15 minutes after kickoff.
Yeah. To which the club would probably point to the email that says, please get to the ground an hour before kickoff.
Yes, and they explain what to do with your tickets and add them to your wallet and everything.
Which clearly not many people had read.
Yeah. I did read it, but I thought, well, you don't need to get to the ground an hour before kickoff. That's ridiculous. But yeah, maybe in hindsight, more than 15 minutes would have been better, because I did end up missing the Sanchez red card.
Yeah.
And I've not seen an opposition player get sent off at Old Trafford for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So that was a shame. And I missed the Fernandes goal as well. But
yeah, unfortunately, given how dull or negative a lot of the starts to our games are, you managed to miss the first interesting and good start to a game we've had, certainly this season.
It's frustrating. And from an analysis point of view, I didn't get to see the game how it was
before
when it was a neutral state.
Yeah.
The game that I tuned into was already 1-0 red card. Don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I made it in just in time for the red card, but not quite in time to see the pass being played for the red card. So literally just in time for the red card. As I walked up the steps, I saw, as I looked up, having arrived at my seat, I saw the ball coming over to Burmo and him get wiped out.
Yeah.
Look, we've both looked at it back.
Yeah, it's a definite red card. Yeah, some people have made a case about there being two defenders covering, but it's too close to the goal for that to matter.
Yeah. Like, it's not like he has to take a touch. Like, if the keeper doesn't wipe him out there, he can have a shot.
Yeah,
and,
you would expect him to score. You could argue there's no such thing as a clear goal scoring opportunity for United. But if ever there was one, that would be it. And I don't think you're supposed to factor that in to your decision.
Quality of
the
player.
The referee shouldn't think, well, he's rubbish, he's not going to score, so it's not a red card.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't really take that into account.
Yeah. So it was a good start to the game.
Yeah.
We need all the help we can get at the minute, so their keeper getting sent off after 5 minutes is quite a big...
Yes. And another big dose of help dealt out by Enzo Maresca, I think. A really odd strategy of sacrificing a lot of impetus immediately after going... either immediately after the red card or immediately after the goal.
Yeah.
We can talk about the goal, but...
Because it was Estevao he took off for the keeper, wasn't it?
He took off Estevao for the keeper and Pedro Neto at the same time.
Oh, right.
And then after the goal, he took off Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fair enough, Cole Palmer was an injury, but if Cole Palmer's carrying a suspected injury, you would not take Neto and Estevao off as well, because the possibility that Cole Palmer has to come off was already in their head.
Yeah.
So surely you would. I mean, yes, you want to leave Cole Palmer on as long as possible, but the worst case scenario is you take Estevao and Neto off and then also have to take Palmer off. So you wouldn't risk that happening. You would take Palmer and Estevao off and leave Neto and Pedro on.
And also, you don't expect... He probably didn't expect us to get a red card as well.
No.
So you're expecting to be 10 against 11 for basically the entire game.
Yeah.
But he went pretty far with that, taking off 3 attackers.
Yeah, I think there was very little. Certainly with 11 players, Chelsea had nothing going for them. They couldn't get a sniff, really.
Yeah.
They had maybe one foray into our half that was reasonably effectively shut down.
Yeah.
It was leveled up a bit later on, but we'll come to that.
Yeah.
I presume you've now since gone back and looked at the Fernandes goal.
Yeah. It was a bit... Wasn't the kind of goal we usually score, really, but...
No.
There's not a lot you can say about it, really. Fernandes, it didn't matter where he was playing because it was following a set piece.
Yeah.
But it was good to see us winning the second ball and keeping it alive and managing to score from it.
The sort of thing that you want to see, even when they've got 11 players, which is recycling the ball and volume of chances created. It's the first time we've really seen it, certainly against a half-decent side from United. And it was, it helped that it was against 10 men.
Yeah.
Because that's how you mitigate the fact that players miss chances, is you have to be able to create a volume of chances.
Yeah.
And United haven't really done that. And you look at, people moan about us missing 3 chances in a game, but that's 3 chances out of 5. Whereas if we miss 3 chances and, if you get up to sort of 8 or 9 or 10 good chances a game, which the good teams do, then you can miss a percentage of them and still score enough goals. Whereas United miss a percentage of them, probably too high a percentage, but also they're too reliant on the slim number of chances they need to create.
Yeah. We've now, having said that, we are now got the highest XG in the league. Or not now, we've still got the highest XG in the league. So clearly we are creating some chances. And it still seems like there are opportunities to create a chance where we create the wrong chance or play the wrong pass.
I think, we need to improve on turning good situations into chances and turning good chances into goals, because there's 2 areas where they break down. A lot of what we saw on Saturday was not even the last pass, but the pass before the last pass being misplaced, which turns a promising opportunity to create a chance into nothing.
Yeah.
And then when we do manage to get the last pass right and create the chance, then we often miss that.
Yeah.
We need to improve both of those conversion metrics massively.
Yeah. But then the second goal was quite similar to the first, really. It was quite scrappy. Kept the ball alive in the box. It's a bizarre clearance. I can't remember who it was from. Maybe Enzo Fernandez, that just went straight up in the air.
Yes, sort of a United-esque
calamity.
That we saw against Burnley, where you sort of you deal with the initial problem, but you allow it to turn into another problem.
Yeah,
very
it's sort
easily.
of Bayender's specialty. Really. Yeah. So it was nice to see us benefiting from that.
Yeah. Going back to the first goal, it was basically perfectly in line with where I was sitting, and the vibe in our stand was very much, this is going chalked off. This.
Yeah.
He looked dead off. He looked properly offside. He looked like he was sort of clear offside.
Yeah.
Then once you get to sort of a minute of VAR check, okay, my initial assessment of definitely offside was wrong, but at that point it's basically 50-50.
Yeah, well, you do get to a point, probably you fear the worst, and it depends which team you're supporting, but where it takes so long that you think, well, they're going to change it if it takes this long. But thankfully it didn't.
No.
And when you look at the automated offside picture, even at first glance he looks offside, but it's because of his sort of arm is in front of the defender.
Yeah.
Like, there's no arguing with it. It's clearly the right decision. Yeah. They know what they're doing most of the time. It does go wrong sometimes, the automated offside, but that's I think one where
it was very close, but that doesn't mean that they didn't get it right in the end.
Yeah, and it's always going to be, as Gary Neville says, it will always be an inch.
You
just, whatever you say about the offside rule, these people who complain about being offside by an armpit or a toenail or whatever, but you have to call it somewhere.
Yeah, I think, that is true. Did you always has to be a infinitely small point by which one side is offside and one side is onside.
Yeah.
I think Arsene Wenger's point about daylight, I don't think it doesn't remove the need for there to be a defining line. One side is on, one side is off. But it means that when it is marginally off or very, very close, it isn't, his toenail is 1 inch or 1 pixel in front of his toenail. Yeah. He's well beyond the defender, and so far that that there has to be daylight. It allows for more goals. It allows for a more exciting game.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Do you think it would?
I don't think more goals is a good thing. Well, obviously it is to a point. A 3-1 is better than a 0-0, and it wouldn't necessarily lead to more goals, because it would lead to more goals if the games were played exactly the same way, and all the chances happen the same way, but you referee them differently. But teams would react to the rule.
Yeah, defenders would have to sit off.
It would be so much easier to beat offside traps.
Yeah, because you could go a second early.
Yeah,
or not a second if depending on how slow you are. But as we saw with in 1925 when they first changed the offside rule, that you can't really predict how it's going to affect the game, and they changed it in order to boost viewing figures, really. But I don't think the league really needs to do that.
I think the Premier League's pretty happy.
I mean, the whole Games Gone crowd would say that they never bother watching the top flight anymore because the Championship's much more interesting and all the VAR is ruining the game. But the only way to fix that would be to get rid of VAR. That wouldn't be a change for this. It would just be an arbitrary change for Arsene Wenger to justify his job title, which is basically his job title.
It's great.
Justifying himself.
Make a job for himself,
so Casemiro got the second goal. Another goal against Chelsea.
Yeah, he loves playing against
Chelsea.
Him,
It was the sort of chance where I've seen us not score from it and then think, how on earth have we not scored from that? Yeah. There was a big overload of players in the box, a lot of chaos, just needed someone to get a decent touch on it. Yeah. And Casemiro managed to do that.
Yeah.
Good to see.
It didn't last long before then the numbers were evened up, which is a shame, really. And when you look at the two tackles, particularly the first one, it's completely needless. It's clearly a yellow card, and the conditions play a part, but you think, just what are you doing? Yeah. What are you trying to achieve there?
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about Casemiro's experience. A lot of Casemiro's experience came playing for Real Madrid, where you don't get booked for that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but
you wouldn't get the second yellow. They wouldn't send him off in the Liga for something as innocuous as that.
No, probably not. But he's also played a lot in Europe, and I feel like European refs would give that.
Yeah.
And he's had several red cards for United, so he's been playing here long enough to adapt to that.
It's an odd thing. It's sort of like, I'm trying to think of the example now. It's sort of like with like transfers to United, where you say, or like Amorim, how can it be the manager's fault that he's missing these chances or that these players aren't playing well? But there's such a body of evidence that it has to have something to do with him. Each individual Casemiro red card can be explained away as, like the Will Hughes one.
Yeah,
probably was ridiculous. The one, I can't remember who it was against now.
It was against Southampton.
Where he goes over, hits the ball and then his foot goes off the top of the ball and into the leg. The one against Chelsea. Every individual one you can say, it's harsh, it's a bit ridiculous, no one else would get sent off for that. But he gets sent off for them all the time.
Yeah, so he needs to be more
There's
careful.
something about him that is attracting these cards. It can't just be a coincidence that it's always him getting these stupid red cards.
Yeah. And the second one was I've seen lots of people saying, well, it's obviously not a foul, he wins the ball.
Yeah.
He puts his hand on the shoulder, starts to pull him down, and then wins the ball.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a foul, but it's maybe a slightly harsh yellow card, given that he didn't actually drag him all the way to the floor.
No, he did proceed to do the correct way of winning the ball after
done that straight away.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, and it allowed Chelsea. I think if Chelsea hadn't been as immediately negative with their substitutions, it could have been a much more interesting game.
Yeah.
As it was, they were able to get one back, but weren't able to massively punish United.
Yeah, they didn't really have enough.
And United naturally set off at 2-0 up.
Yeah, I think we set off a bit too much, though.
Probably.
It felt like in the second half that we had 10 men and they had 11. And we ended up with about 40% possession, given that we played half the game at home with a man advantage.
Yeah. It was a big switch based on that red card.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was very, very worried after going down to 10 men, I was thinking, as long as Chelsea don't score too early, if Chelsea score here in 10 minutes' time or within 10 minutes of the start of the second half, then there's no way we hold on and keep 3 points. I just couldn't see it happening. Then they did score, and it was disallowed very quickly.
Yes, from the corner, yeah.
And I was fearful that was it. That was about 50, 60 minutes in, I think.
Yeah.
And thankfully, their goal came with not too much time after it, so we were able to hold on.
Yeah, and Chelsea, to be fair to them, didn't really pepper the goal, even after they scored. I don't remember Bayern having really a save to make. There was a cross that came in that he sort of pushed out, and a corner that he punched away, but he didn't have to make any saves, realistically.
Huge any volume of saves, no.
But if Chelsea had a bit more about them, they definitely could have equalised in that game.
Yeah, there was definitely the scope for it. And that one you talked about of Bayern pushing it out could have easily been, fallen straight to one of their players, and they'd a more composed effort could have easily gone in.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they got one back from Chalobah.
Yeah.
Good header. Again, set pieces were not really...
Yeah, it seemed far too easy. They passed it short from the corner, and then it's just a cross in. Yeah. Simple cross and an easy header, really.
I think we've seen it a couple of times where the manager will change out one of the centre-backs.
Yeah, we see it.
And
then seems to do it every game. Right?
And I know Harry Maguire hasn't started a game yet, and the conditions were, tough. You didn't want to risk an injury for Maguire, but we spent a lot of that game not doing any defending. Yeah. Yes, Maguire had a lot of space to cover, but De Ligt had been doing most of that. So Maguire he wasn't knackered.
No, he could have still headed a few crosses
and there was,
away.
Yeah, there was going to be a lot of balls going into the box for the last 20 minutes. I feel like leaving Maguire on and just, not unsettling that back three would have been the sensible decision.
Yeah.
Instead, he brought Yoro on. I think it was Yoro's man, was Chalobah for that goal. I think he could have...
Yeah, well, Yoro seemed to be marking two players. I don't know who...
Someone else left there.
Yeah, but it did seem a bit of a mismatch.
Still another game for Bayern. Still no sign of Lamens.
Yeah, it's annoying, really. Obviously, it's annoying for lots of reasons. But if we had a League Cup game this week, that would be a good opportunity to give Lamens his first start. But such is the state of United at the minute that we're not in the Carabao Cup third round. So I don't know when we'll see him. The manager seems pretty content with Bayern currently. I think ultimately before the end of the season, Lamens will be playing. But I don't know what game will be the...
There's every opportunity and every chance that Bayern will play his way out of the team.
Yeah, they'll have a game or maybe a couple of games where he deserves to be dropped.
But that feels like a sacrifice on the altar of ego rather than just putting in the best player. But we haven't seen them in training. Maybe Lamens hasn't settled in yet, or he's still getting used to they still think he needs time to get used to the physicality of the league. Yeah. Not that Bayern is particularly used to the physicality of the league, but we can't compare the two really at this stage.
Yeah, and again, Bayern's distribution helped us because the red card came from a great ball over the top and a flick on. So we can now see. Previously, I'm not sure I did see this, but this season I have seen what he brings to the team as well as his weaknesses.
Yeah,
I can see what the manager likes about him, even if at times I think there's enough to not like about him that it's not worth it. In
a classic United fashion, did you see Onana got an assist for Trabzonspor this weekend?
I didn't see it.
A late equaliser. Punted up the pitch, bounced over the keeper's head, and the attacker ran onto it.
Yeah, he never did that for United.
No, his long passing.
Keep it in the pitch.
Yeah, his long passing completion was awful for United.
Yeah. But that is especially this season. It seems like everyone who leaves United is just doing really well. Yeah, and it's been a thing for a couple of years, but it seems like the last 2 weeks everyone's doing it. But one player who didn't do it is Garnacho.
No, yeah.
I wanted to talk about that really because he got an incredibly hostile reception.
Very hostile reception.
More hostile than I've seen for a specific player for quite a long time, really.
Yeah.
The Tevez chant.
They always seem to be Argentinian.
Yeah. Fergie said, I think, in an interview once that he'd always had trouble working with Argentinian players. And we repurposed the Tevez chant for Garnacho. And he didn't end up coming on. But I saw someone on Twitter, and I saw a couple of people saying similar things, that they were really ashamed by that. United fans saying they didn't think that was right. They thought it was classless, and not how we should treat an academy player who worked
hard.
hard.
I can see that.
I don't really know where I stand on it. But going into the game, I was really looking forward to giving Garnacho some stick and hoping one of our players would wipe him out. And I haven't really changed my mind on that.
No.
And it's nice it's fun to have a villain. But then he didn't do as bad as Tevez went to City.
Yeah.
And Di Maria slagged off the club a lot.
Yeah,
Garnacho's done that a bit.
Yeah. And he lost a lot of fans, I think, with the Rashford Aston Villa post.
Yeah, that was he just seemed like a
bit of a wind up.
Yeah. And attitude issues do seem to be.
But it did fail a little. I was slightly taken aback. I didn't expect it. I thought, like you said, he'd get jeered and sort of if he came on and then the ball goes under his foot, I thought he'd get a cheer at that. But to specifically target him with that chant, and which is quite as a lot of chants are, it's quite rude and offensive.
Yeah.
It's not particularly complimentary chant. So it did feel like a sort of an odd stance for United to take, because he's not burnt that many bridges.
No.
He's not, like you say, he's not holding banners up, or his brother's done more damage than he has. I think slagging off the club. Yeah. The club are sort of equally.
They got rid of him.
Yeah,
he can have as much of a grudge against the club as the other way around. I think it would have been. It feels worse because he didn't come on. If he'd have come on and got booed and that would just feel a bit better. But it seems like we were just harassing him while he was warming up.
Yeah, I think because everyone expected him to come on.
Yeah.
It was odd that he didn't come on.
Yeah.
The manager said that they had to sub a centre half that they weren't expecting to, so he was planning on bringing him on, but then changed his mind.
Yeah, but I'm not sort of disappointed in fellow United fans, and I was perfectly happy to join in with that. I don't think it was really not.
No, I wouldn't use classless.
No.
It is odd with an academy player, but then that line is sort of somewhat arbitrary because he signed at 16. If he signed
we bought him from Atletico Madrid.
If he signed at 17, then no one would class him or 18, no one would class him as an academy player. But I'm glad he didn't come on, because it felt written in the stars that he would come on there and score a late goal and massively rile everyone up even more.
Yeah, and it seemed a no-brainer to bring him on. Really, he's the kind of player who could have created something and found that equaliser. So it was a relief that he didn't come on.
Yeah, it would have been galling in those conditions as well.
Yeah, to get absolutely soaked on the way into the game, miss a red card for them and a goal, and then to concede a last-minute equaliser would have been an all-timer.
Yeah,
but it was worth the conditions for 3 points.
Yeah, and 3 big points. When if you're going to drop points against Fulham, you need to pick up points elsewhere to sort of balance that out. Obviously, we're not. I don't think we've got enough points from the opening few weeks of the season, but given how bad we were last season and the tough fixture run that we've had, I think 7 points from the opening 5 games isn't a disaster.
Yeah, no, it looks so much better, and it's much easier to frame than if we'd have drawn that game even.
Yeah.
So 5 points from 5 games, that's no better than we were last season.
Yeah.
And we've dropped points at Fulham and barely beat Burnley. But to actually have another win on the board.
Have a win. And that you can sort of recontextualise the Arsenal game as a promising performance with an unfortunate result. Whereas if you lose all 3 of Chelsea, City and Arsenal, then you think, then that's another big stick to beat the manager with, is these big teams coming to Old Trafford and getting a lot of joy.
Yeah.
To win one of them and then to win the Burnley game and not lose the Fulham game, I think is much more acceptable.
Yeah.
The big sort of fly in, it's not ointment, what's one down from ointment?
Gel.
Yeah. The big fly in the ointment is the Grimsby game. In that, that's what's massively done for the manager this season, I think. Even if we'd have scraped a win there, even maybe
gone through penalties,
then you can write it off and as a bad day at the office.
And
but
we carry on from here,
Carry on from here, but to have average to fine league form with uninspiring performances and a disaster class at Grimsby, it makes it look a lot worse and makes it sort of sours the whole mood.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want us to have allegations of being flip-flops, as the kids might say. But my mood around the club does change a lot based on our results at the minute. It was so volatile.
Yeah.
And I want to make it clear that I do want the manager to do well. We talked a lot about the manager getting sacked.
Yeah, we sort of felt resigned to it, and it felt inevitable after. And you're always going to be in that sort of mood. After
You're only as good as your last result, really. But the best case scenario is that the manager does start to do well.
Works out.
Yeah. But one win against Chelsea shouldn't change anything.
Against 10 man Chelsea.
Yeah.
No.
But it's great to win a game, and I hope it continues. The manager now, I didn't think he would get sacked after we lost to City. I certainly don't think he'll get sacked before the next game.
No.
A win will always buy you some time, especially against Chelsea. But it's not all rosy again now because we won one game. No. We have to get some kind of consistency.
Yeah, we'll talk about the upcoming games in a bit, but we have a bit of an opportunity to buy some sort of grace before we get to the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
If the Liverpool game was the next game, then you would basically
think, well, we're going to lose that, and then we'll be back to where we were.
He really needs a string of positive results going into that Liverpool game in case we get battered.
Yeah. He could do with a string of positive results or a string of wins and then not lose in the Liverpool game, ideally. But he certainly needs to win.
If he's
a few
got
games
his career prospects in mind, then another 3 wins on the bounce would be really good to see, and something that we've not achieved in a while, far too long.
Yeah.
Sesko got his first league start, did he?
Second
he
league started
start.
The derby.
Only managed 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But probably not his fault. I don't think his performance warranted coming off at half time.
No.
I think he's probably quite annoyed at Casemiro.
Yeah. It's a shame. And I thought he showed some nice touches again in the build-up,
nice
hold-up play,
bringing red card.
Yeah, bringing teammates in. Him and Mbeumo linked up well a few times.
Yeah.
He's not scored a goal, and I don't think he's missed a great chance.
No,
he's now played 6 games for us. He started 3 of them, 2 in the league and 1 against Grimsby. Not scored a goal, but as I say, I don't think we've really created a golden chance for him.
No, and there's always the case that great strikers don't need golden chances created for them, and we saw that last season with Højlund, where yes, there wasn't the right service to him, but also he wasn't doing the right things in order to create that service. He wasn't, helping the team. He wasn't making the right runs at the right moment, and he sort of looked quite sort of out of sync with the rest of the team. Yeah. I don't think that's the case with Šeško yet.
No,
I think
it could get there.
Yeah, I just think a striker's performances are so linked to the performances of the team that if you're struggling, as the team have been, then your striker can look very isolated, and he's not the sort of striker, certainly not at his age, who is going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and pull players up with him. No. He needs that to come from someone else, and that's why I was okay with signing Šeško once we'd got Cunha and Mbeumo in, because they are the sort of players who can do that. They've got that experience. They're few years older, they've played in the league, they've got good pedigree, and they can, when the chips are down, be that sort of player who can motivate the whole team and bring Šeško along with them, rather than it happening the other way around. So I didn't think it's a massive reflection on Šeško that it's not fallen for him yet.
No, and the best strikers don't need golden chances, but they do need some.
Yeah,
all the best strikers, Haaland, for example, a lot of his goals are great chances that a lot of people could score, but he's in the position and it's played into him, and you expect him to score that. And probably for his first goal now, especially now he's played 6 games and not scored, we're probably at the point where he could do with a tap in
or one going in off his arse.
Yeah.
As they say.
Yeah.
There was a thing that's been highlighted online is there was an opportunity where Ahmad won the ball back high up the pitch and could have squared it for Šeško to put it into an empty net, and delayed and chopped back and then tried to cross it to the far post to Mbeumo. Those sort of chances you sort of want a striker to be demanding that ball and to have the sort of gravitas to say, so everyone knows if you see him in that sort of space, you have to give him the ball.
Yeah, and he will score.
And it's difficult to know that when they haven't scored yet.
Yeah. And he's not been playing with these players for long.
No. So I think that will come, and there will be a good opportunity. Opportunities will come for him, and his sort of his fundamentals, as people like to say, his sort of underlying physiology and mentality, and his he seems to be aware of have a good footballing brain. So I'm not worried about that. I think he can, once one goes in. We say this a lot, and it can't be true of everyone. But it is sometimes true. I think he will find his feet, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to go on too long. We saw in the league where Højlund's first league goal was
in December.
We can't get to that stage.
No.
Mainly because we haven't got any non-league games. So he's going to get no goals if he doesn't get a league goal till December.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Because Højlund, while he wasn't scoring in the league, scored 5 in the Champions League.
Yes.
Sesko doesn't have that, so he needs to score in the league.
Start scoring a couple of the league.
The ideal scenario, really, for him to get that golden chance would be if we were comfortably winning in a game.
Yeah, it may have been.
We never are. It might have happened in the second half.
Yeah, if Casemiro hadn't got sent off, I bet Sesko would have been. The Chelsea backline was sort of all over the place. They'd made 3 changes to it. I think Sesko would have enjoyed that, especially in those conditions as well. Lots of mistakes can happen. Win the ball back high over the pitch a lot. I think he would have. I would have fancied him to score in that second half. It's a shame he had to come off.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
The game state sort of demanded it.
Yeah, it's a shame, but not worried yet. But we can't keep saying that every week.
There is a sort of a theme of wastefulness in the team at the moment.
Yeah.
We've got the highest XG, as you said, but we've not scored enough goals from that. One thing that people will cite is that game state is very important for XG, and a lot of our XG in the City game came after they were 3-0 up, or certainly 2-0 up. But then people will also say that Chelsea created a lot in the United against us, but almost all of that was when we were already 2-0 up. So there are caveats to both sides.
Yeah.
Game state is so important for that, and naturally teams aren't as dominant when they're already comfortably up. They just don't look after the ball as well. They're less bothered about it because why would they be?
Yeah.
And United were guilty of that on Saturday, probably too guilty of that given how they were only 2-0 up and
we levelled up the numbers,
So they were probably a little too lax, but lots of teams will skew their XG once they are comfortably ahead or comfortably behind in a game. It happens to every team. What United need to do is they can't hide behind those numbers while the results aren't so bad at the moment. The results are sort of fine to okay, but when the results over a longer period have been so bad, we've still not won back-to-back league games. We've got a year's worth of evidence of not being able to sustain any form of winning form, even if we get into it. So the metrics mean very little when the form is that bad. When the form is okay and you're looking for reasons to be hopeful that you can progress, then good underlying metrics are fine, and they're a useful tool. When the form is abysmal, the metrics mean very little, and it's not a good sign of a very poor team that you create lots of chances and miss them all. It's another thing wrong with a very poor team.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can maintain some form of results going forward, and the numbers underlying me do point to there is more to come from this team, and hopefully with a bit more ruthlessness and a bit better game management, a bit more composure, then they can start to pick up results where they should.
Yeah.
Even without the performances necessarily improving, they can turn okay performances into okay form rather than okay performances looking awful and terrible performances coming up too often.
Yeah. Like a lot of people seem to think a lot of people are more behind the manager last week than we were, and more confident that he would turn it around, and that it will sort of click.
Yeah.
And that the chances will turn into goals and the draws will turn into wins. But when it's such a small sample size of the season, a win feels massive and a loss feels massive as well. So
I think the fan base is quite sort of polarised at the moment. There are people who think sacking the manager is pointless because of everything that's gone before, and they should, under no circumstances, be thinking about sacking the manager at this point in the season.
Yeah.
And there are some who think that the manager is an absolute busted flush and
extremely lucky not to have been sacked.
Will never turn it round, is a dead man walking, has nothing, the system doesn't work, and he's playing the wrong personnel, and he's getting lucky. And there was some talk of that, of the Chelsea game buying him time.
Yeah.
And some, I'm gonna say not real United fans saying that they were annoyed that we'd won the Chelsea game because it buys the manager time.
Yeah.
Which is, I just don't see how someone who claims to be a United fan can have that viewpoint.
Want the team to lose, yeah.
A win is a win. A win is the point. You can't say it's not worth winning because the manager stays, so we can get a different manager, so we can win.
Yeah.
You need, we need the points. We saw last season that it's not a huge. It's not like the Premier League was 15 years ago, where we could comfortably rely on getting 60 points. Every point, there is every chance that a sufficiently poor United side gets relegated.
Yeah.
So we need all the points we can get.
Yeah. Should always be happy with a win. That's the whole
and it was,
thing.
It's Chelsea. It's a big side. Yeah. We've got a good sequence of results against them at Old Trafford now.
Got a really good record against them. Yeah.
Someone pointed out it's very odd that Chelsea, when United were the best side, Chelsea had the best record at Old Trafford. Chelsea had a really good record at Old Trafford from sort of 2004 to 2013.
Yeah.
And then since 2013, they've got a dreadful record at Old Trafford and they've never won.
Yeah.
Whereas United have gone from, when United were very good, Chelsea were able to beat us, and now United are awful. They've just never managed to get it together.
Yeah. And we had a really bad record at Stamford Bridge for quite a while.
Yeah.
Even like Fergie's last 10 years, he didn't win at Stamford Bridge. And until this last season. And now we've got a much better record than that, even though we're a lot worse.
And Chelsea during that time they've won the Champions League twice. They've been a very good side in that time. So it's very odd that they've just never managed to get it together at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I was sort of prepared for another one on the list of records that have been broken.
Yeah.
Negative records that get broken. They get broken far too often.
Yeah, because going into that game, there was a lot of people mentioned that stat, and it did feel a bit like, well, it wouldn't be the first time recently that one of those records has gone by the wayside. But we held on to that one for another year.
Yeah, we shall. Yeah. There's the Old Trafford halftime record.
Yeah, still got that one. That was close. Ipswich last season, I think, was close.
Yeah, well, we managed to sneak ahead at halftime, and then we were down to 10 men, so I don't think it happened. But another record standing.
Yeah, that one, it'll be a sad day. That will go eventually.
Yeah.
It could be not in our lifetimes, but
you'd expect
every record goes eventually.
Yeah.
And it will go, and that'll be very sad, but I'm glad we're still holding on to that one.
The other record that people are worried about this season is the academy players. In
the matchday squad.
18.
Is it
18
38?
19.
It is 20.
Wait, you get 9.
I think
nine on the bench.
9 on the bench, and 5 of them can come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both sort of think that there must be some sort of clause or somebody's job to say you aren't allowed to lose that record. Yeah. It's so easy to keep that record.
Yeah.
Just, you're never going to bring on all your subs. You can't bring on all 9 on your bench.
Yeah.
There's always a spare spot for a spare keeper. So in the situation where Mainu is injured and Fredrickson's injured, then
just put someone on the bench.
Put someone else on the bench.
Someone from the under 12s,
Just don't let that record go. It's too important.
I mean, it's not really. There is a point where if you're just doing it just to keep the record, what's the point?
Yeah.
It should be you want to put academy players in the squad so you can play them.
Yes.
And the manager shouldn't really be forced to do that.
No.
He should want to do that. But I think we should just hold on to it. Some
United historians would argue that it's not that important a record, and it's sort of a coincidence that it's lasted this long.
Yeah, and it could have easily gone.
And no one knew it was a record until someone discovered it 10
years
ago, 15 years ago. So up until that point, if it had gone, no one would have cried, no one would have missed it. It happened to be that Makeda ended up on the bench, or But there have been long periods where not that many players have come through.
Yeah,
I feel sort of between the class of '92 and sort of the next big wave was sort of after '99 when there was a few coming through. Then the last few years of Fergie, there was no incredible ones coming through. There was Welbeck and Cleverley and Makeda and players who sort of burst out and then never really turned it around. But themselves. A lot of those years, Ryan Giggs, was
Ryan
the
Giggs
reason
was
that he played basically every game for basically 20 years.
20 years, yeah. He would have been in the squad 90% of the time.
Yeah. So
it's good to have one of them, really, which we don't have currently.
No, there is one of them currently, but
there should be.
He's out on loan. He's playing in Barcelona's squad. So,
right, yeah.
A player who is basically always fit, and there's always a use for him in the squad.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But I can't help but get jealous. I saw a clip of Cesc Fabregas talking about youth integration, and he's at Como at the moment. But this was when he was doing his coaching badges. He was saying that if you look at Barcelona of sort of 3 or 4 years ago, they're in absolute financial ruin. They couldn't register expensive players. Yeah. They were forced to go to the academy and play players probably younger than they'd planned to. Yeah. But they brought through Pedri and Gavi and Kabasi and these players and Balde, players who have proven that given the right exposure and the right development and under the right manager, they are every bit good enough to be starters for Barcelona. And the other club he referenced was Chelsea, and Chelsea had their transfer ban. Yeah, they brought through Mount and
Abraham,
Tomori, and this crop of players, and Reece James. Yeah, I was counting that.
Okay.
And then none of them are still there, but they got good fees for them, and they won a lot of them won the Champions League at Chelsea.
Yeah,
they were forced to do it, and more clubs. It's a shame that clubs have to be forced to do it to integrate these amount of players. Every club has sort of 1 or 2, but every club should really be striving for 4 or 5 every year. And United should be the one of the forerunners in that. And
absolutely.
Have been in the past, but currently there's not. And I don't think it's necessarily because of a poor crop coming through. We've had some casualties. Some players who could have gone on to be much better than they have been.
Yeah.
Either through injury or circumstance, and there is another good crop coming through. I think the under-21s won again at the weekend. The under-18s have won every game this season.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get back there, but it does feel like there's that motivation isn't there in the management structure at the moment.
Yeah. And that's sort of similar to Chelsea now. When they had the transfer ban, they brought through all these academy players and established them in the first team. But then you look at the last couple of years, and they've sort of stopped doing it again. Yeah. Like they could, in theory, have a back 4 of Reece James, Levi Colwill, Mark Gay, and
Lewis Hall.
Yeah, Tomori.
Yeah, Tino Livramento. Yeah, players who are playing for England now.
Yeah. And they've not got that. They've got Fofana and Adarabioyo. And,
who are fine players. Yeah. They're not a class above the players that have come through at Chelsea.
Like, would you not rather that? Yeah. But obviously, people at Chelsea, and it is harder to do at the minute because of PSR rules, where selling your academy players is a good thing to do.
Yeah,
it's sort of seemingly clubs seem to think it is. Like Chelsea let Gallagher go as well.
Yeah.
But for United, I would be really annoyed if we were in that situation where all of these United academy players were doing so well elsewhere and we'd let them go.
Yeah, I think the United have sort of overcorrected. Maybe not to the degree that Chelsea are doing it, but there was a period where players who clearly weren't good enough for United were getting pro contracts for far too long, or were players who had value but weren't United quality players were being allowed to leave for free. And now you have sort of gone too far the other way, where you have players who maybe are good enough to play for United who are being sold so that they're not allowed to leave for free.
Yeah.
And there's always the issue is recruitment being poor means that all of your sales look bad. Yeah. We talk about McTominay being allowed to leave and Elanga being allowed to leave. And I think the main issue with them is that we let them leave and then got worse. Whereas proper squad management would have been to let them leave and reinvest and get better.
Yeah.
But
and sometimes it's fine. I'm not saying we should keep every youth player,
No.
Some of them could have a very good career in the Premier League after leave United, and it was still the right decision for us to sell them.
Yeah.
But like you say, we have to use that money well, rather than signing someone worse than the player we've just let go, who was also from the academy.
Yeah, I think a fine example is James Garner, who has proven that he is a capable Premier League player. He plays every week for Everton.
Yeah.
We got a decent fee for him.
Yeah.
And probably isn't good enough to play for a very good United side.
Yeah.
The issue is there isn't a very good United side at the moment.
Yeah.
So you can sort of look with envy at a player who would be probably an improvement on, and would get into our side at the moment. That doesn't mean that it was wrong to sell him. The issue is that it was wrong to sell him and then not get better, not be a good side.
Yeah.
But that's just people, we should be a good side. That's quite a much more simple thing to be annoyed about.
Yeah. And I don't think the record will go anytime soon, but it shouldn't just be about the statistic.
Yeah.
It should be about wanting to play them and not just having them on the bench,
Yeah. We talked about on Saturday, it's much more impressive in the period of no subs or the period of 5 subs, as in 5 on the bench.
Yeah.
That they are important players who play a key role every week or every other week, rather than, Tyler Fredrickson could be on the bench every single game for this whole season and never play, and the record would stand.
Yeah.
And that would be more in keeping with the record than, a 1 week in 1995 when Butt and Beckham and Giggs and Scholes happen to all be injured. Like that. But then, the next week they're all back and they're key parts of a title-winning side. Then, that should be what you want, rather than just this sort of arbitrary record.
Yeah.
But
we don't want it to go.
No, we don't want it to go. And everyone has said the manager who lets it go should be sacked on the spot, or that sort of sort of talk about it in quite dramatic terms, because while it's not necessarily, like we say, it's not the most important thing, and it's a little bit arbitrary. It's to let it go is a symbol that you don't care about
the United history.
Yeah, and I don't think that's where we are.
No, I think Amorim, and I don't really know whether he's done this throughout his career, because some managers have come in like Louis van Gaal, who's always brought through great academy players. I don't know if Amorim did this much at Sporting, but he does seem to an extent to want to play young players and bring them through.
At Sporting, again, like Chelsea and like Barcelona, they were forced into it in a way because of their... what's the name of it now? The event where they all stormed the training ground. I can't remember the name of it.
It's called.
It's named after the training ground, but I can't remember what that's called. But because of that, they lost 5 or 6 senior players unexpectedly on very low fees, and therefore were in a bit of ruin. And so they had to bring players through.
Yeah.
They had to... Again, they were forced into it. There's no circumstance where United are going to be forced into it, so they have to do it off their own back.
Yeah. And you want... I would hope that that's quite a big part of any manager interview at United.
Yeah.
That you do believe that that's important to them.
And it's such a good resource. If you can get 4 or 5 players in your squad that are for free, then you
probably
can...
on lower wages.
Yeah, you can spend your allocated budget on the other 20 players, and it goes a lot further. It's financially prudent as well as being in keeping with the history of the club.
Yeah,
it should definitely be something that the club prioritise.
Yeah,
the issue is it seems, well, the logic isn't there that it's a luxury, and the team right now needs to just focus on improving, and they can't afford the luxury of bedding in young players.
Yeah,
because so often the bedding in young players is a good way to fix issues when you've not got that much money to spend, or you've got gaps in the squad, which we have. It's a very useful resource, and it has proved with these other clubs that we've talked about that it doesn't make you worse. It doesn't have to make you worse. If you do it right, they can easily improve a team. And I think United should be championing that rather than shying away from it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, you look at players like Gary Neville and Paul Scholes, who they'd never even considered leaving United, and they were good enough to play for United their whole careers, and they didn't really have agents, and would just they probably ended up getting paid less than they could have done at other clubs, and I don't really think that exists anymore.
No, I don't think so. No.
But it would be great to have some local players and academy.
Yeah, you want to see
in the team and key parts of the team.
Yeah, you want we all love the photo of Cobby when he's 6 years old wearing 4 years old wearing the United shirt. I'm not saying that you have more affinity for someone from Manchester because we all love Bruno Fernandes, who isn't a boyhood United fan, but has adopted the club and the club have adopted him. But it's one of the great joys of football is seeing someone, a local lad, come good. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
It does mean it is important, and it has been a stalwart of the club for a long time, and they should be focusing on it. Definitely.
Yeah, and we've always had that. Even the last few years, we've had players like McTominay and Rashford and Lingard and who've grown up loving United, and we have Cobby currently, and we need to.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah, another reason we need to keep hold of him.
Yeah, we can't afford to let that slip.
No. Looking ahead to Saturday.
Yep.
Brentford away, early kickoff.
Big game.
Well, it's
as big as any other game.
Because it's a great opportunity to win 2 games in a row. Yeah. And the Chelsea game, the good feeling we have now from winning that game, that will be completely gone if we then don't beat Brentford on Saturday.
Yeah, it's entirely pointless. The scenes of celebration at the end of that game if you can't then back it up.
Yeah, it's we've had opportunities this good in Amorim's tenure. Of course, we have where we've won a game and then we've been playing a game against a team like Brentford in the next game and not done it.
We absolutely have to.
We have to believe that we can do it this time,
No.
And then all the same questions will come back to the manager if we don't beat Brentford.
Yeah. They've looked okay this season, Brentford.
Yeah, they looked good for the first couple of games, and then particularly the last game against Fulham, I think people did start to worry a bit more, how they did before the season started, and started to wonder whether the manager was capable of sort of reacting in games and answering difficult questions, particularly away from home. But yeah, they've looked okay. They've had some good games. It was a good result against Chelsea. Yeah, and they beat Aston Villa.
Yeah,
win.
They're an interesting side. Obviously, they lose players every year.
Yeah,
and they replace them well, and have done, and that's how they've managed to remain in the Premier League. But they've never had to do that with a manager before.
Yeah.
What Brighton have done is they've proved every bit as capable of replacing a manager as they are at replacing players, and that's the big test for Brentford this season is whether or not they can. They brought this. They had again sort of similar to the Brighton model with players where they got this coach in as a coach.
Yeah.
Before the manager had left, and then the manager leaves, and they promote from within.
Yeah, which is an interesting approach because it's certainly not what Brighton have done.
No,
they've gone down the same sort of school of managers every time.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see if it'll work out. I think it's too early to say. Like you say, there's questions that still need to be asked about him.
Yeah,
just because he is so inexperienced.
Yeah,
there's certain things that you can't predict about a player, a manager, until they're in there, until the chips are down or whatever.
Yeah.
They have to think on their feet and pull the players up. Then you can't predict that. You can't always know for certain.
Yeah, I do like the manager Keith Andrews. I do like his vibe, the cut of his jib.
Nice.
But if they are, I predicted them to go down, and if they are going to do that, then we definitely need to beat them because Amorim so far has only proved capable of beating the teams that have just come up or are about to go down. Usually both. Yeah. So we could definitely do with a win. They're not. If we were playing Brentford from last season, I think we did beat Brentford. We definitely beat them at home, but that wasn't under Amorim. Brentford were a much tougher proposition in theory last season, whereas now you look at them, especially after the last result, and you think this is a game. Realistically, we need to be winning if we've improved at all.
Yeah. There's every chance that we haven't, and we go out there and struggle. But they've lost good players. They've lost Mbermo, obviously.
Yeah,
they lost Wissa late on.
Norgard.
Yeah, important players who've been there a long time as well, not just sort of the latest cycle of players that come through and then they immediately sell on for more money. These were players who are sort of established Brentford players who've been there the whole time, the whole sort of way through the project to this point. So big losses for them, and with any new signings to replace them, they're going to need time to bed in. So they're a very attractive opponent at the moment. I think they're a good opponent to have. It's fallen at the right time.
Yeah,
and we can't afford to waste the opportunity.
Yeah,
definitely
and
not.
If we do win the game, similar to how we've beaten some of the relegated sides at times, like we beat Burnley by the skin of our teeth, and Ipswich and Southampton at home, we didn't look comfortable. If we do beat them in that way, it won't really answer many questions. The manager will still be on quite thin ice.
Yeah.
But, it's a whole lot better and it will get the monkey off our back of not winning 2 league games in a row.
Yeah.
So I think any win is important.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you want to see a good performance.
Yeah, definitely.
And that will do more for the manager. It's a good performance, comfortable win. But I'm still under the school of thought that wins breed confidence, which breeds sort of, a winning mentality. And any sort of win at the moment will hopefully give them confidence going to the game after that.
Yeah.
We look so mentally weak as a team, and so much of that is confidence. And even if you're not playing particularly well, if you can look back and say we've won 4 games in a row, then that can start to breed a better performance.
Yeah,
one can follow the other quite easily.
Yeah, and
it doesn't have to be
performances haven't led to wins, so maybe wins will lead to performances.
It doesn't have to be that you're playing amazingly and then you start to win. You can sometimes start to win and then start to improve as a team.
Yeah.
Especially with things like being wasteful and things like defensive errors. They're very confidence driven.
Yeah.
We saw in the Chelsea game, mentally we looked like a very different team once we'd gone a man down.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't behind, we were winning 2-0 and we had the same number of minutes of opposition. We looked like a team that had been wounded and that were retreating within themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas Chelsea then were buoyed by that, and every sort of setback that we have seems to rock them quite a lot.
Yeah.
If we can get a couple of wins in a row, we can start to grind out a result even without a brilliant performance. That will massively help with
those tough situations. Yeah, especially given the fact that the game after Brentford away is Sunderland at home.
Yeah,
and if we've won the Brentford game, that would be a really good opportunity. No disrespect to Sunderland, but that's a fixture that you look at and you have to think you're going to win that.
Yeah, if you're not marking that on the calendar as a must-win, what are you?
Every team in the league, and every team in the league, if you think ahead of the season you're going to be in a relegation battle, you look at games like Sunderland at home and think, well, that's one we need to be winning realistically.
Yeah.
And Sunderland have started the season well. Obviously, we'll talk more about this next week, but it's a good opportunity for us to get up a run of wins. So we
can't falter after the first hurdle.
We need to do it.
It'll be a big game. Like, Brentford are an interesting proposition, but we should have enough to see them away.
Yes, that sounds a bit like you saying, "Oh yeah, we'll be fine. We should have enough." But in theory,
by rights, United
should
side
have enough.
Yeah,
I'm not saying we did.
No,
but we should.
Sunderland have started well. Did you another positive result for them this weekend?
Yeah.
A draw in unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, I don't know if it says more about Villa or more about Sunderland, but Sunderland went down to 10 men at half time essentially, and Villa just didn't take charge of the game at all.
Yeah.
So it's a good result for Sunderland to draw against Villa, especially with 10 men, but it's also a really poor result for Villa.
Yeah. Villa, I mean, they've got a goal. They've scored a goal,
Frank
de Boer's record, but they've gone close. They got to 60-odd minutes.
Yeah, Matty Cash pulled one out.
And they needed 10 men to play against 10 men to do it. But they've got a goal. They haven't got a win yet.
No. And, a few months ago, they went toe-to-toe with PSG. It came closer to knocking PSG out than a lot of teams did in the Champions League. And it's such a mad transformation from Villa. 1 goal in 5 games and no wins.
Yeah, there's an interesting trend this season of teams that have good player quality, but I think are in danger of sort of being overcoached. I think that they are trying to be too. If you contrast them with a team like Bournemouth, who I think they have worse players than Villa, but are playing a system that allows them to play to their strengths and is a very vertical system, and because they have quick technical attackers, it works. Villa are trying to play a very technical style with perhaps not the most technical of players, and it's not really working for them at the moment. Newcastle, I think, are similar. Newcastle aren't really playing to their strengths at the moment. They're trying to play like a member of the elite and are held back by the players that aren't up to that level.
Yeah, and Newcastle, obviously, it's not been quite as bad as Villa, but they've had 3 0-0s out of 5 games.
That is,
They've got one win, which was Wolves at home. They won 1-0.
Yeah.
And then they were unlucky to lose against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Especially with 10 men. But yeah, they're in a similar boat to Villa, really, where they did so well last season and finished in Europe and have gone backwards. Yeah. Again, it's a small sample size. It's 5 games. People generally say 10 games is the period where you can look at the table and assess teams properly, but it's not been a good start for Villa or Newcastle.
No, and I think there's something to be said in defence of PSR. Both of those teams will point to PSR as a reason that they are unable to compete in the transfer market, despite the fact that Newcastle spent plenty of money in the transfer market. But you can't, especially in the Premier League, you can't guarantee that your performances will stay consistent. You will have off seasons where you will miss Europe and your revenue will plummet a lot. There's a huge amount of money coming from Europe. So Villa gambled a lot on being in Europe this season.
Yeah.
And
I think they gambled on being in the Champions League.
Yeah, and if you can't, because you can't guarantee that, if you overexpose yourself to salary and transfer fees, and then you have a blip of a season, as they're both, in the early stages of now, we're not sure how they, I'm sure either of them, both of them are very capable of turning it around.
Yeah. As
are Nottingham Forest, who had that great season last season.
Yeah, they're in a similar boat as well.
Any one of them could easily have a season this season where they finish 10th, and then they've got a very expensive squad for the 10th place team in the league.
Yeah.
And they won't like it, but United's revenues are much more stable and are much less tied to performance on the pitch, and so they are allowed to take a few more big swings in the transfer market because a year out of Europe, 2 years out of Europe isn't going to stop us being able to pay our salaries.
Yeah, we'll still have 70,000 people at every home game.
Yeah. So, that's what the rules are there to do, is to stop these teams from overexposing themselves and becoming, in sort of unstable financial environments that are massively dependent on league results, because you can't guarantee league results. You can have a bad season. You can lose a good striker and not be able to capture that form again. And there isn't a guaranteed steady progression. You have to build slowly, and going too hard too early can cost you.
Yeah. And I hope no Newcastle or Villa fan would say there shouldn't be anything to stop owners spending as much as they want.
No.
I think the majority of them would be level-headed and say there obviously should be something in place. So they might not agree with certain aspects of the rules currently, but everyone surely agrees that there should be something in place.
Yeah.
The spirit of the rules is right.
Yeah, because if you don't have anything in place, then you end up with a world where only nation states can compete.
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, maybe Newcastle fans would say it's fine that Newcastle would win the league every year because they would spend 500 million every summer.
Yeah.
But I don't think many sensible fans would agree that that's a sustainable situation.
Yeah.
Did you catch any other games this weekend?
Yeah, well, Liverpool got another unconvincing win, another close game that they won by 1 goal.
Yeah.
It's frustrating from a United point of view.
Yeah.
I text you when they did exactly the same thing in the Champions League. They can't keep getting away with this. I think what will happen is they start playing well and keep winning games.
It's what happened last season.
But they could keep playing the way they are and stop winning games, which is what we hope for. Because no one in the league has that every team performance-wise has had their ups and downs, and questions have been asked. But Liverpool, results-wise, no questions have been asked. They've managed to win every game, including in the Champions League.
And so a lot of that is, there is a certain element to which you can rely on player quality, and they have the best defender and the best keeper and the best attacker in the league, or one of the top 2 attackers in the league.
Yeah.
So when the chips are down, you can rely on them in a way that a lot of teams can't rely on those people. Yeah. Even City, who have one of, Donnarumma's probably a top 3 keeper in the league.
Yeah.
And Diaz is probably the top 3 centre-half, and Haaland is the best striker in the league. But they don't seem as,
infallible.
There's certainly an air to Liverpool, which comes off the back of winning the league last season.
I was going to say that definitely helps mentality-wise to know you can beat anyone. And while you're drawing the game, you can always get that goal.
Yeah, and there's always an air of superiority about them where they feel like, they are the best side. It would be disrespectful to not win the game. They seem like they are sort of expecting to win the game, which, I don't want to depress any United fans, but was certainly the case for United. There was definitely an era of inevitability about United that there feels like there is with this Liverpool side to a degree.
As a different former United player would say on a different podcast every single week, they were beaten in the tunnel. They knew they weren't going to win. Yeah,
there's an inevitability and a sort of an aura, not to use a phrase I don't really like, but about this Liverpool side where, like you say, they line up against you and they think everything has to go right for us to win this game.
Yeah.
And if they do ride the luck a bit, they get the rub of the green sometimes with referees, and with, a lot of people pointed to the 3 minutes added on at the end of the Everton game.
Yeah.
As
particularly Jack Grealish.
Yeah. Especially when there was 7 minutes added on in the United game, which felt excessive.
Borrowed some from the first half.
Most of the subs were in the first half, and they gave
9 minutes at half time. So
so if you do the maths, the first half had 2 red cards, both with VAR checks, 2 goals, one with a very long VAR check, and 2 sub windows.
Was it not 3? Oh, did they make both subs at once when the keeper went off, and then another? Yeah.
The second half had 1 goal disallowed and 1 goal given, and no red cards, and it was 2 fewer minutes. It does seem like an odd choice to give that much. But we don't have to get into the minutiae of added time.
No.
We won the game, so I'm less bothered about it. If we'd have conceded a late equaliser, we would have done 15 full minutes on why that was an atrocious decision to give 7.
Back to Liverpool. They're playing Palace away this weekend, and Crystal Palace have not lost a game now. They've gone 17 games unbeaten, which is an amazing, really good achievement. Yeah, like they're right up there in the table. Not lost a game yet, only them and Liverpool. So maybe Palace are the team that might be able to get a result off Liverpool.
But then there's one of them. If they beat Palace, then
they can beat anyone.
There's a feeling that they may. There was a big opportunity missed. Well, there was 2 chasers who both dropped points. With City and Arsenal drawing.
Yeah, it was strange because going into the game, City fans I spoke to weren't confident. They didn't think they were going to come away with a win.
Yeah,
they would have definitely been happy with the draw. And now after the game, they're thinking they should have gone for it more, and they could have easily come away with 3 points.
Yeah. I think the narrative around Arsenal this season has been odd in that. So they've had 2 big games against challengers. They very narrowly lost to Liverpool away, thanks to a wonder goal, and they got a decent result against City at home. And there seems to be the belief, Gary Neville was talking about how it's typical of this Arsenal side to go into a big game and not try and win and just sort of shut down. But they beat City 5-1 like 6 months ago.
Yeah. But they didn't beat Liverpool 5-1 last season.
No, but they
beat City, finished 3rd, but they didn't beat the team though.
No, I know they didn't get over the line and win the league, and they didn't do what they needed to do. But I think there's definitely a recency bias to Arsenal go into these games scared and play massively negatively and try and grind out results.
Yeah, but there was the season before last when they were going up against City and they had a run of wins, and then they drew 0-0 at the Etihad, and they were happy with that.
Yeah.
And they were all celebrating at the end of the game. And it does seem to be a mentality thing when they haven't won anything yet.
Yeah, there will always be question marks until they win something.
Yeah. And again, I said it at the time about the Liverpool game. If you go into that game to play for a 0-0, that's fine.
Yeah.
A 0-0 at Liverpool's a good result, but you can't then come away with a loss.
Yeah, no. I think there is criticisms of this Arsenal team mentality-wise because they haven't got over the line. Yeah. But, there are plenty of big games that they go into and sort of strut their way through with swagger and win. They beat Real Madrid. Both legs. They beat...
but I don't think anyone was criticising them the way they went out against PSG. But in the league, they seem to be...
Maybe it favours tournament football and league because you have to go out and be your best self. You can't come out and make it. It's all about the next game. We just got to get through this one unscathed.
And they seem to play the game against City as if it was Man City from 2 years ago, who were the title favourites.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's a vulnerable City side who've had mixed results, and if Arsenal played their best, they would have won.
Yeah, I do think that they scored their equaliser, and then they decided the game was over, and that was the result they'd got. I don't think they would have gone on to score another one, but they weren't desperate to, and they didn't really try to.
They didn't go and pick up the ball out of the net,
and that wouldn't have annoyed me with this version of United because it goes to the bottom of a very long list of things that annoy me with this. But in a United that's chasing the title, to at home come up, score a late equaliser like that and think, fine, we've done it. We've achieved what we wanted to achieve with this game by getting that late equaliser. Yeah, would have frustrated me.
I remember it was Crystal Palace at home for United a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah,
where it was Dan James had just signed and it was his third game, I think, and we were losing for a lot of the game, and he scored an equaliser, great goal in like the 91st minute or something.
Yeah,
and he ran over to the corner and did an arms folded celebration. And there's a great picture where he's celebrating and Martial and Rashford are sprinting over to him to be like, "What are you doing? We're drawing the game. Get back and take the kick off." The thing is, we then lost the game.
Oh, great!
He maybe should have spent a bit longer celebrating.
That is very United in a nutshell.
But it would be frustrating as an Arsenal fan to see them doing that. Yeah. Not thinking, come on, let's go and win it, because you look at Liverpool and that's what they would have done.
That's what City did when they equalised against Arsenal a couple of years ago. There's a great someone put up the footage side by side. It was a similar sort of goal where the City fans are in all on the floor, devastated, conceded. And as the Arsenal, not fans, the City players, the Arsenal players were, but the City players are grabbing the ball and sprinting back to kick off again, whereas Arsenal are wheeling away to celebrate the point.
Yeah.
It does, so there is definitely a mentality thing, Arsenal. I think that people like to remember all the games that it's true of and forget all the games where they didn't do it and they won and they played well.
It's called having an agenda.
Gary Neville's got an agenda. I don't know if it said.
But
another tough week for Wolves.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like there's a very odd decision for the manager to sign a new contract.
Yeah, very strange.
They lost again this weekend. Still not won.
Leeds at home again. Leeds at home, a newly promoted side at home.
One of the games
if you're in a relegation battle, you got to be looking to take 3 points there and to lose that game. And I said Wolves will be fine. I said Arsenal would win the league and that Jokers would turn draws into wins, and that already looks wrong. Yeah. But I said Wolves will be fine. I said I think they've got a good manager and good players, but they keep testing that every week.
Yeah, something needs to change there, either with or without this manager. Yeah. They need to book up. And there's, like you say, 5 games. There's every chance it starts to click.
Yeah.
But they need to do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying it that it's not the 3 promoted sides that are down there. It's West Ham, Villa, and Wolves, and it would be quite a turn up for the books if one of them went down.
It would be,
because they've all Wolves not as much as the other 2, but they've all been in the league a long time. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you'd have to imagine Graham Potter's not long left for this world.
Yeah, no, it was poor result. And Crystal Palace didn't play as well as they have in a lot of games.
No, but they
managed to beat West Ham, because who doesn't?
It would be it doesn't seem like he's seems like he's a little bit lost at the moment.
Yeah, and he says after every game that he feels really bad for the players and the fans, and it's just he's just a dead man walking. Just put him out of his misery, take him out the back.
Yeah, he needs to go find himself in the Swedish second division again. I think.
Yeah.
Even the Championship, I think there would be there's always a certain stigma to dropping down levels, but it would be a chance to start a project sort of without prejudice and without baggage, and allow him to instill principles with a bit less pressure and not be in a relegation fight every week and not be scrambling for every point, and have fans who have ideas of grandeur to just sort of go in and, as Frank Lampard's done it, and Coventry fans are very, very happy with him.
Yeah.
And he's doing a great job.
Yeah, maybe Potter will look at that, because it is crazy how far his reputation's fallen from when he was at Brighton, got the Chelsea job, and he was linked with England and all kinds of things, and then he's had 2 miserable appointments since then, and it's...
Yes, I think he needs to learn from Frank Lampard and not from Russell Martin, who has sort of taken the biggest job he can get his hands on, and it's not working at all. There's far too much pressure.
Now he'll have to do what Lampard's done.
Far too much pressure in far too difficult an environment, and he's not been able to achieve anything like playing decent football.
Yeah. And I generally don't think managers should take inspiration from Frank Lampard, but
no,
I think in dropping back down to the Championship, there can be a lot said for it.
Frank Lampard, he's not. He's he's doing the best out of Gerrard, Lampard, and Rooney, who were the 3 England.
Yeah, will Rooney ever return to management? He's now signed a contract with BBC. He's got his own podcast on there, and I'm sure Alan Shearer, who tried and failed briefly at management, would probably say, you want to stay out of that. Just come and sit in a nice warm studio every Saturday.
Yeah,
but you'll get paid as much. Yeah, and
no one
a lot less stress.
Yeah, no one's going to burn you in effigy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of converts to that way of thinking. I think the only holdout is Roy Keane, who maintains that he wants to get back into coaching.
Yeah, for the right
We're not going
to
rehash that.
No, not
idea.
Today.
We're on the positive.
Yeah, back on the Amorim train.
Yeah, but most of them dip their toe in the water of management, find out that it's more stress and more hard work and less fun than being a player.
Yeah.
And they think, no, I'll sod that. I'm just retire.
Yeah.
Do a podcast.
Like Gary Neville.
Yeah. Not that we can bemoan people who have football podcasts. But
no, I think it's, I can see the appeal.
Yeah, really. It's a very tempting lifestyle.
Yeah, I wasn't weighing up whether to start a podcast or to go into management.
No,
really.
They weren't your options.
No brainer for me.
Ah, well. Once that Huel money starts coming in, then we'll really know we've made it.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, it's been any other business. The women's team got through against Bram.
They did. Great performance. Hat-trick for Turland.
Yeah.
It looked great signing. There's sort of the sort of game that she was signed to help make the difference in.
Yeah, and it's good to see in the Champions League group stage now for the first time. So
great. It's an area that the club should be more invested in, and hopefully they can see that a bit of investment goes a long way, and it can really be a positive story.
Yeah.
It's still a shame that they're playing out in Lee.
Yeah.
Because if they were playing at Old Trafford more often, then a lot more people would be tempted to go and see them. But no one wants to go and stand in Lee. And, especially not going into the winter months, it's not a nice place to go and watch football.
Not convenient to get to if you live in Manchester. It's not an ideal situation. And Jim Ratcliffe saying that they don't have the bandwidth to care about the women's team was a bad look.
Yeah.
But, they seem to be doing well despite that. So.
They are. They drew in the league, but it was against Arsenal. Arsenal are a very good side.
7 points from 3 games.
Yeah, can't complain about
respectable.
That. Win for the under-18s again.
Yeah,
Darren not missed the beat.
Tricky Reds.
Yeah, they've carried on where they got. They lost the manager over the summer, but Darren Fletcher stepped in and has done a very good job. They play. They are not just prioritising results, which is a thing that some teams do at that level, where you guarantee, it's all about the results, because results are important at that level. No player develops losing every week, but they are trying to instill and develop players properly. You know, they're playing JJ Gabriel, they're playing him through the middle. Yeah. That's not his preferred position, but it will make him a better player overall.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
And that's might harm the team. It would be better, you know, the team would look more balanced.
On the results.
Yeah. The team would look more balanced if he wasn't playing there, but it's a development principle that you can be encouraged by.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see some more positive results in that area. As we spoke about, you know, we'd like to see another crop of youth players come through.
Yeah. Well, Kai Rooney's starting to break through to the under-18s.
Yeah, he's been on the bench a couple of times. He's him and Carrick's son.
Yeah.
They're both coming on nicely.
Yeah, that'd be strange.
Yeah, very odd.
Probably make us feel quite old. It would be the first time that a player we remember has had their son playing for the team.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Tyler Fletcher on the bench for the first team.
Yeah.
But he's not made an appearance yet. Yeah, I think there's... but Dan was saying when we were that we have a certain affinity for Rashford as he's the first player to sort of come through and make it who was our age.
Yeah.
It wasn't... Because football ages are sort of warped. I don't think of 28-year-old players in the same way I think of myself and my peers.
Yeah.
You know, I think of them as sort of elder statesmen at 28. But, you know, if I find it weird that almost no professional footballer is more than 4 years older than me. Yeah. That's really weird.
Yeah. Like, some of them have been professionals for so long, you know.
Yeah. So, Rashford being my age, because he was exactly my age, or, you know, within a year, you can very easily contextualize that, and I find it's what you want to see.
Yeah.
So that's another reason the Rashford shame pile.
Yeah.
As well as his 2 Champions League worldies this week.
Yeah. It was good to see. I'm happy for him.
I'm very happy for him.
Yeah.
But then the story came out that he got dropped from the Barca team because he missed the team meeting.
Yeah,
he was
which
late.
We've seen before, you know.
Yeah.
But then he came on and got an assist, so
yes,
maybe
he's another one for the leave United and never look back pile. I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's fewer of those going forward.
Yeah.
And we start to have players who
stay
who regret leaving rather than regret staying.
Yeah, indeed.
Right.
That concludes
plenty for this week.
Yeah. Lovely to chat to you again. I'll see you next Monday.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
What are your plans to watch the game?
I won't be here. I'll be down in Stamford, Gloucestershire. So
nice.
I won't be able to watch it. So
fair enough.
I'll have watched it by the time we record next Monday. Yeah. So
that's fair enough.
Yeah, or at least I'll be able to pretend I did.
No. I mean, even when you go to the ground, you've missed most of the game.
Yeah, that's true. So, probably see about as much of it. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, well, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to you both. Thanks for coming back every week. Make sure you follow us on social media. I know you both do already, but
not having this negative.
Anyone who's happened to press the wrong button on your Spotify, make sure you leave a review, and we'll see you out there.
Yeah.